Hello, my dear students. I hope you all are fine, healthy, and utilizing your time properly. We are missing out classes, and so I'm here to just make up for that. We are missing a lot of classes. We have already done with the first chapter, that is accounting for the NPOs, which is not profit making organization. Now we are doing the partnership. You will be having 4 chapters. This is the first chapter, that is fundamentals. You will be learning some basics and little bit of theory will be for you, it may be a recap because you have already done in business study in grade 11. As you can see, some of the things I have written in red color. These are the points. It's good if you remember, because that will be helpful for you to do 1 mark questions in the board exam. They have come in the board exam quite many times. Okay, so the first thing is Partnership Act 1932. The definition, you don't have to mug up, but it's good if you remember that. Partnership is a relationship between persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. Now here, one thing is, it's a relationship between persons. That means more than one person. Second thing is, they have agreed to share. That means we are talking about an agreement, and you may be knowing that agreement is called as partnership deed. Okay. Another thing is profits. Children, when we say profit, it is by default, it means that they are agreeing to share the profit as well as the losses in case. Okay. Another important point here to be noticed is that it is carried on by all. It may be possible that how many partners, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, they all can be a part of management, they can all do the business, or any one. That means there may be an active partner. You may be knowing about the active partner and sleeping partner. So there are different kind of partners. It may be one partner, but one thing you have to remember, even if it is managed by one person, whatever decision or whatever responsibility he is having, or whatever actions he is taking, everybody has to be involved in that. That means it has to be, they are bound by that kind of decision. So these are the few things which you need to remember in the definition. Another point is, individually all the all the people who are getting into the partnership, they are known as partners, and collectively they will be called as the firm. Remember that when we say company, we refer to a joint stock company. It may be private limited or it may be a public limited company, but collectively partnership is always called as the firm. So business is known as the firm. Another thing is, these are some of the important features. There are many features, but I have taken a few important ones. Sometimes they may be asking 1 marker questions in that. Number of partners, as you know that minimum number required is 2, because if it is 1, then it will be called as sole proprietorship. Maximum number is 50. If it is more than 50, then they have to switch to another kind of business organization form. Now this, according to the rule number 10 of Companies Miscellaneous Rule 2014, it has been changed. That also probably you may be remembering, you must have learned in 11, that earlier it used to be 20 and 10. 20 for normal business and 10 for banking institutions. But now it has been changed. Under this rule, it is changed to 2 minimum and 50 is the maximum. Remember this rule number. Sometimes they ask this. Now exceptions, everybody can be a partner, but with few exceptions. One is somebody who is minor, who is less than 18 years of age. Second is the person of unsound mind. If he is insane or he's not capable enough to handle the business. Third is person who is disqualified by the law. If some legal proceedings are going on, some case is going on, or by any way or any ground, if the by law he has been disqualified to be entering into any business, then he cannot become a partner. Next is the agreement. You know that agreement can be oral or it can be written. But it is always advisable to have something in writing, because when it is oral, there is no proof of it. So it can be oral or it can be written, and that is the basis of any partnership. Now that agreement is known as partnership deed. Okay. Another thing is registration. The registration of a firm, it's not compulsory, it is an optional. If you want, you can go in for registration. If it is not needed, then it may not be. But it is always advisable, because after getting registration done, you have its own advantages. Another point is liability. You all know the difference between limited liability and the unlimited liability. Limited liability means the person who is investing, the amount of money he has invested, his liability is only till that limit. Whatever, if somebody has invested, say 5 lakh in a business, so his liability is only up to 5 lakh, not more than that. But if it is unlimited liability, which is in the case of partnership, it's always the unlimited liability. If it is unlimited, that means if the firm has to pay any debts, then in that case the personal property of partners can also be taken, can be seized to pay off, or can be utilized for paying off those debts. Business, this is something important, that any legal business, one condition of being into the business, one is that it has to be a legal business. You can be partners, or you can get into a partnership for any illegal work, some smuggling something, or you are doing, or you are getting into a product line which is banned or something like that. If it is not falling into the legal framework, it is not called as the partnership. Second important thing is regularity of the business activity. Here I would like to quote an example. Let us think about two children. Okay, we'll take two names from our class. Okay, say Lakshay and Raghav. Lakshay and Raghav has bought a plot, a small piece of land. That piece of land, say it costed, say 10 lakhs, and then they thought of selling it, but the prices were not too high, so they waited for some time. Say for 1 year they have waited, and after that the prices were rising. The property which they have bought for 10 lakhs, now it has become 15 lakhs, which means they are getting the profit of 5 lakh. So with that intention to make the profit, they got into a partnership. They joined hand and they bought the plot and they sold it. They got 5 lakh extra, which they divided, and they part ways. So after that there is no more activity from their side. Now if they have done it only once, they cannot be called as partner, because it is one time activity, though it was done with the intention of making the profit. And you know, any business, the first and foremost thing is the profit making. So it was a business, but then there was no regularity in that. If they continue, they buy a plot and then they sell it, then again they buy it and then sell it. If there is some kind of regularity, then it can be called as partnership. Otherwise it will not be called as the partnership. Mutual agency. This is to explain this once again, I would like you to go to the definition where it says business can be carried on by all or any one of them acting for all, which means as I told you earlier also, it can be managed by everybody or it can be managed by any one. So the partner who is active, whatever decision he is taking, everybody has to agree to it. Okay, that means he is working on behalf of all other partners. If out of 4 partners, say A, B, C, D, A is an active partner, B, C, D is the nominal partner, or you can say they are the sleeping partner. They have just invested the money, but it does not mean that कि जो भी डिसीजन ए ले रहा है वो बी और बी सी डी अपने हाथ झाड़ के खड़े हो जाए कि हमने तो डिसीजन नहीं लिया है. इफ़ समथिंग गोज़ रॉन्ग, दे ऑल्सो हैव टू बी द पार्टी टू इट. Okay, so in this case, if A is an active partner, he is the agent to B, C, D. But also at the same time, whatever decision, even in spite of being the sleeping partner, whatever decision is taken by B, C, D, A has to bear take the responsibility of those actions or those decisions as well. So in this case, everybody is an agent to another partner and everybody is a principal also. So this agency is mutual. Now don't think that agency we are talking about some firm. Here we are talking about a kind of relationship, that is a principal and the agent. So all the partners are principal as well as the agents. Okay. Here we are done with the important features. Now next is the right to partners. Rights of the partner. As soon as they get into partnership, they have certain rights because they are the owners. But the first two rights, which is written in red color, why I have made it highlighted, because suppose if a question comes that you have to write any two rights of the partners as soon as they get into a partnership, what will they be? So please prioritize and write these two first, and then you can go on for the next. It's not that the other ones are not important, but the first and foremost rights are these two. One is right to share the profit. Again, if it is profit, it obviously means I'm talking about the losses as well, and they will be dividing the profit or the losses in the agreed ratio, whatever ratio they have decided, whether it will be half or it will be 60-40 or it will be 30-70%, whatever way they have decided, it will be pre-decided and it will be mentioned in the partnership deed. Okay. Second is the right over firm's asset, because they are the owner, so they are the owner of all the assets. Then next one is right to participate in management. They can take any decision if they want. They can do whatever they can manage the business and they can manage the show. Right to inspect the books of accounts. Whatever is going on in the business, they have got all the right to go through the accounts. Then right to retire after giving the proper notice. This is one of the thing, like it's not necessary once you get into the partnership you can't get away from it, you can't leave that because it's not a prison. आप छोड़ सकते हो, लेकिन there is a formal procedure for that which will be described in your partnership deed as well. So after giving a proper notice to all the other partners, and if they agree to it, one partner can take the retirement on any ground. Suppose his health is not good or he is not able to continue, he is migrating to some other place or whatever may be the reason, but after giving the proper notice he can be retired. Okay, so these are some of the rights of partner. Then yes, partnership deed is very important, as you know, because that lays the foundation of the relationship. And partnership deed, as we say, as I already told you, that it can be oral and it can be written. Oral is as good, as strong as the written one, but you know that oral things, there's no proof. Written, yes, it brings a lot of transparency, so written is always advisable. Second thing is, it is not compulsory, again, because it is oral means it is not compulsory, but it is always advisable to have it in writing. Why deed is important? This question also has come in board exam, that give two reasons why partnership deed has to be in writing. So one is, it governs the right, duties and liabilities of the partner, because how they have to go about it, what they need to do, what are their rights and what are their liabilities, everything is mentioned in the partnership deed. And second thing is, in spite of writing everything in the partnership deed, suppose some problem arise or there is some kind of conflict among the partners, how you are going to settle it down, how you are going to address it. So that also will be mentioned in the partnership deed. These are the two important points due to which we say partnership deed is important. Now coming to the contents of the partnership deed, that means उसमें क्या क्या लिखा होना चाहिए. There is a huge list, it's given in the book, you can go through that. Again, I would say you don't have to mug up, but please children, you have to have a fair idea what important things are to be mentioned in the partnership deed. If I just say it now, the name of the firm, the address, registered address, name of the partners, their addresses, what is the profit sharing ratio, what kind of business they are going to do, and whether the interest on capital would be allowed, what will be the capital contribution, interest on drawings, about the drawings, any kind of advances which can be given, or salary or commission of the partners, how they are going to dissolve the firm at the end, what will be the expiry date, not expiry date, that means whether it is for a time bound or how they are going to end this partnership, and and also they have to mention how they are going to settle any kind of dispute among the partners. Okay, so these are the few things which you need to just learn, go through this, and please also read your textbook. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ring me up. Till then, bye bye.